The first red flag was the lock. It didn't click the way it used to. My key caught, twisted, then stuck like the whole door had been jammed from the inside. I tried again. Nothing. I knocked once, then again, harder. A man with a clipboard stepped from a silver Prius parked at the curb. Shirt too white, smile too tight. Government issued energy. You looking for 27 Elmwood? I nodded, breathless. This is my house. He blinked. Ma'am, this property was foreclosed last Thursday. The bank repossessed it on Monday. The Astor family, Reed and Vivica Astor, signed off last month. The cold wasn't outside anymore. It was inside my spine. I never signed anything. He shifted his weight. Look, I'm just the contractor. You'll need to speak to your mortgage servicer. I didn't wait. I moved around the back, climbed over the fence, scraped my knee. The patio door was unlocked, probably left open in a rush. Inside, it felt like someone had pressed delete on my life. The couch was gone. My bookshelves bare. The family photos, stripped from the walls like they'd never mattered. A single trash bag sat near the fireplace, half full with Callie's drawings crushed and bent. The one of the three of us at the beach last summer was ripped down the middle. I dug deeper. Jewelry boxes emptied. Documents missing. That was when I knew this wasn't just foreclosure. This was extraction. Reed walked in 40 minutes later, like it was any other Wednesday. Shirt wrinkled. Phone still in hand. He froze when he saw me standing in the center of the gutted living room. Nora, you want to tell me why my home doesn't exist anymore? It's not what you think. Don't start with that. He sighed. Can we talk tonight? It's complicated. A black SUV pulled up outside before I could answer. I knew the license plate. Vivica Astor stepped out, sunglasses despite the clouded sky. She walked in like she owned the oxygen. I told you not to come, Reed said low. Vivica smiled at me with pity. She handed me a crisp folder. We've decided to consolidate assets. Here's your copy of the sale. I flipped it open. My signature was on the title transfer. Dated 4 months ago. Notarized. Witnessed. Perfect cursive, except I never wrote it. You're forging my name now. Vivica tilted her head. Maybe you don't remember. You were medicated quite a bit back then. I slapped the folder shut. You're a monster. We're protecting Reed. You've been unstable for months. Ever since. Don't. She didn't flinch. You don't have a career anymore. No income. You're a liability. Reed stayed silent. That silence cost him more than he knew. Callie's staying with us until you get things under control, Vivica added. Court approved. You'll get scheduled visitation. You're kidding. We thought you'd be grateful. I turned to Reed. You let her do this? Sell the house? Take our daughter? She's safer with structure right now. I stared at him, breath gone. You think I'm the problem. We'll talk, he repeated, useless. I grabbed my phone, snapped pictures of every page in that folder. Then I walked through rain, through betrayal, through the unraveling of a life I thought I built myself. But the truth? I'd built it on quicksand with a man who held the rope for the one sinking me. My phone buzzed before I made it back to the street. A notification. Legal summons, Mercer, N/notice of bankruptcy filing, Chapter 11 fraud. Filed by Vivica Astor. They weren't just erasing me from their lives. They were dragging me to court for a debt I didn't create, tied to an account I never opened, using a signature I didn't write. And in that moment, soaked to the bone in the rain, I didn't cry. I smiled, because someone had made a mistake, and I was going to find it. I'd built a life with Reed. They just sold it without telling me. I slept in my car. The back seat still smelled like Callie's cinnamon hand sanitizer. Her booster was tilted, belt twisted. I ran my fingers over the headrest like it was her cheek. I didn't cry. That's what they wanted. They strip you of everything, then call you unstable, I muttered. Morning light split the windshield. I shoved yesterday's mess into the glove box, bills, appointment cards, a flyer for Callie's school play, and drove to the one person who could tell me if I was going insane. Trina Daniels, my former business partner, CPA, and the only person who had full access to my financial records before the Astors wedged me out of my own company. Her office sat above a dry cleaner in Laurel Hill. Stale coffee, faint bleach, narrow stairs. Trina opened the door before I knocked. You look like hell. You're the third person who said that this year. Then maybe hell's where you've been living. I followed her in. Legal pads stacked like sandbags. Wall of monitors behind her desk. One blinked with banking dashboards. I dropped the foreclosure folder on her table. Then the legal notice. Then the fake signature. Someone's impersonating me. Trina read in silence. Then, that's not your handwriting. I know. I watched you sign every check for 5 years. I need proof. Digital metadata, audit trails, bank logins. If someone signed that from an IP that's not yours, I'll find it. She booted up her secondary screen, fingers flying. They've filed under Chapter 11, but the filing includes a trust you never mentioned. NCM Holdings. That's not mine. She paused. It's tied to an EIN issued last March. Guess who listed as the secondary signer? Vivica. No, Nolan Astor. My breath caught. Nolan, the cousin, tech-savvy, MBA from Wharton. Ran point on family finances since their father got sick. Always polite, always calculating. Nolan forged documents in your name and opened a holding trust. That trust defaulted on a secured loan. The loan was then attached to your business address. That's wire fraud. That's at least 4 felonies. And they're pinning the collapse on me. A knock. We both turned. The knock came again, harder this time. Trina looked through the blinds. Don't say anything, she mouthed. I slipped behind a filing cabinet. Her hand went to the top drawer, where I knew she kept pepper spray and a legal Glock, both registered. She opened the door 2 inches. Can I help you? A man's voice, polite but rehearsed. We're with the Office of Financial Oversight, here to verify records connected to Mercer. N. Show ID. He held it up. I caught the name. Reese Holloway. I took a photo of it from the crack. Trina nodded. I'll call your office to confirm. Until then, we're closed. He didn't argue, just smiled. Of course. Expect a formal audit request by end of week. They left. Trina bolted the door. They're watching your digital footprint. That was intimidation, nothing else. I paced. They're cornering me with federal filings. If I don't respond, they'll say I defaulted. If I do, I validate their setup. Either way, they control the frame. I slammed my fist into the desk. I have nothing left, Trina. My bank account's frozen. My business is being dismantled in court. My daughter's been taken. And the man I married doesn't even flinch. You want them to flinch. She spun the screen. Here. On it, a login attempt made 2 nights ago into my joint account with Reed. The access came from a location in Baltimore, not where Reed works, not where we live. But someone accessed a safe deposit box we'd opened under Callie's name. They withdrew a flash drive and logged the access under my name. My hands turned cold. That flash drive, it has video logs of design meetings, proof that I was the sole developer of the Keystone encryption software. If they destroy it... They're not going to destroy it, Trina said. They're going to weaponize it. A beat. Then she asked slowly, where's Callie right now? Vivica took her. No, she said, eyes narrowing. You said she's staying with the Astors. But who's actually watching her? I pulled out my phone, dialed Reed. Voicemail. I tried Vivica. Straight to reject. Then Nolan. No answer. Turn on the GPS tracker you put on her school tablet, Trina said. I opened the app. The dot blinked once, twice, then vanished. I stared at the screen. Trina grabbed her coat. We're going to the bank. Right now. To do what? To break the illusion that you're alone. We walked into the sunlight like two women already on trial, because that's what it felt like. Not justice. Surveillance. And someone out there, someone who knew the whole Astor game, had just made a digital ghost out of my daughter. The drive to the bank was pure static in my head. Trina's GPS glitched twice. We missed the turn. When we pulled into the strip mall branch, her fingers trembled against the gear shift. They know we're coming, I said. I hope they do. Let them sweat. Inside, the fluorescent lights buzzed like insects. The vault manager, a square-jawed woman named Lorraine, met us at the reception desk. You're not on the appointment calendar, Mrs. Mercer. No, I said, but my name is on the access log for box 119. I need to see it. She narrowed her eyes. I'll need to verify that. Trina slid a document across the glass. This is a court-approved record freeze tied to a fraud investigation. Deny access, and you're obstructing. Lorraine hesitated, made a call, mumbled into the receiver, then nodded. Follow me. Through the glass doors, down a chilled corridor, a keypad, fingerprint scanner. The vault clicked open. Box 119, she said, pointing. I unlocked it. Inside, nothing. Just air. No flash drive. No paper. No backup disks. They'd wiped it, but left the envelope. Trina lifted it with gloves. Typed. Sealed. Addressed in all caps to Camilla Astor. Vivica's legal name, I whispered. Trina opened it with the end of a paperclip. Inside, a photograph. Callie, sitting on a bed in a room I didn't recognize. The timestamp, 2:17 a.m. That morning, she was in pajamas, clutching her toy panda, eyes glassy, and behind her, blurred but unmistakable, stood Nolan. The same smug tilt of his jaw, holding a phone, watching her. They're drugging her, Trina said. Look at the dilation. No, I said. They're trying to break her memory. So if she talks in court, she stumbles. They're not just hiding evidence. They're weaponizing your child. My mouth went dry. This changes the terms. You need an emergency hearing, protective custody, a forensic audit on all AMC digital records. No, I said. I need to find her first. I can't walk into court empty-handed and let them delay another month. I know how they play. Trina stepped back. You want to break into the Astors. I want to recover what they stole. A beat. Then she tossed me her burner phone. Call this guy. Henry Barlow. Digital recon off books. If someone's uploading videos or sanitizing data, he can trace the echoes. You trust him? No, but I trust you'll scare the truth out of him. Cut scene. Parking garage downtown. Barlow's van looked like a forgotten plumber's truck. Trina waited in the car. I climbed in. The walls were lined with monitors, antennas, coffee cups, and stray Cheetos. Barlow was 40-ish, smelled like metal and insomnia. I heard about you, he said. Ex-software, dev, lawsuit magnate. Husband of the year, huh? You track data leaks. Only if it's dirty. I want AMC's digital activity, cross-matched with 3 MAC addresses. Can you do that? He raised an eyebrow. That's corporate espionage. They forged a trust, used it to bankrupt me, kidnapped my daughter. Silence. Then he said, give me 2 hours. Cut scene. Back in Trina's car. Engine off. My phone buzzed. Blocked number. I answered. Static. Then a voice. Reads. You're making this worse than it has to be. My stomach twisted. You're lying to a judge, Reed. You erased Callie's GPS. Where is she? She's safe. You're the one unraveling. Vivica is filing for full guardianship if you don't comply. I nearly threw the phone. You think the law's on your side because you wear a suit? I built that software. I own that company. And you stole my daughter. A pause. Then, you left the door open, Maya. We just walked through it. Click. I stared at the screen. Trina said nothing. Barlow texted. Got something. Meet now. Cut scene. Back in the van. Barlow's screen glowed blue with overlapping time logs. They're uploading encrypted videos from a burner cloud. Password locked, but the geotag says Silverbrook. That's Nolan's lake house. One more thing. He zoomed in on the metadata. This file? It was uploaded 5 minutes ago. Live footage. Trina leaned in. Can you access it? Barlow hesitated. Then, click. The video opened. Blurry hallway. Low angle. A child's voice. Whispering. Mommy, are you watching? Then the screen went black. I gripped the table, heart hammering. They knew we'd trace it. This was bait. And we just swallowed the hook. The road to Silverbrook was silent except for the rhythmic tap of rain on the windshield. The kind of silence that didn't soothe, it suffocated. Every mile we drove closer, I felt it. That tightening coil inside my chest. I used to love this place, I muttered. Now it feels like a crime scene waiting to happen. Trina's eyes didn't leave the road. That's because it is. It wasn't just the rain. It was the way the fog clung to the treetops like something hiding. Even nature looked complicit. Silverbrook was built for beauty. Long windows, stone walkways, a lake that reflected like glass. But it also screamed power. Everything about it said, "You'll never own this. You'll never matter here." We parked a block away. No lights inside. No cars. Too clean, Trina said. We approached from the dock. Back entrance. Trina picked the lock in less than a minute. Inside, darkness, cold, the faint smell of bleach. Then the unmistakable clink of glass. We froze. Second floor. Right side. Trina whispered, one step at a time. We split. I moved toward Callie's room, the one they used when she stayed with Reed's family. I knew the creak in the hallway, the soft groan of the third stair. Door locked. I used the emergency key Reed thought I never found. The room was pristine, untouched, but the closet was different. I opened it. Empty hangers, except taped to the back wall was a single Polaroid. Callie holding a whiteboard. Ask Mom about the gold file. Don't trust Dad. My hands shook. Gold file? Before I could process it, Trina hissed from down the hall. Basement. I ran. She had the door open, flashlight aimed. Stairs. Damp air. Cement. The kind of space that didn't belong in luxury homes. At the bottom, a desk. Surveillance monitors. 2 chairs. 1 coffee mug still warm. They'd been here. And someone was coming back. Trina moved fast. She accessed the monitor history. Traced the last IP activity. 3 minutes ago, she whispered. They're watching us. I checked the drawers. Nothing but a locked steel case. Combination only. And a fingerprint scanner. Can you bypass it? Give me 30 seconds. Her tools clicked. Wires. A tiny spark. And then open. Inside, documents. Passports. Statements. Video USBs. And 1 ledger labeled AMC Asset Seizure Protocol. Each page, details of a premeditated bankruptcy fraud. They'd been planning this for over a year. This is the gold file, I whispered. This is the whole map. Trina slid everything into her bag. We're not safe here. We turned to leave, and the basement lights cut out. Total black. I reached for Trina, but she was gone. The door above slammed shut. Lock engaged. My scream bounced off the concrete. I banged on the door. Nothing. Then footsteps. Heavy. Deliberate. Someone was above me. I backed away. Breath shallow. Then I remembered Trina's burner phone in my pocket. I turned on the flashlight. And there across the floor, handwritten on the wall. If you're reading this, they've already decided your fate. The bulb flickered. I turned. Nolan stood at the top of the stairs. Smile like stone. You weren't supposed to find that room, he said calmly. But you always did have a taste for secrets. What did you do with Callie? She's safe. Safer than you. I swear to God, if you touched her. I didn't need to, he said. Your husband handled that part. I lunged for the stairs. He slammed the door again. Dark. Deadbolt. Silence. Then a voice through the vent. She's already in court-ordered protection, Nora. You lost. You just don't know it yet. I curled to the floor, shaking, and found Trina's flashlight. But not her phone. Just her bracelet. Snapped in half. The basement door wasn't the thing that saved me. It was the fire alarm. A violent, metallic shriek that ripped through the lake house, followed by the smell of burning plastic. Someone had triggered a smoke device, cheap, fast, disorienting. Nolan cursed above me. Heavy footsteps thundered away from the stairs. Then the deadbolt clicked. The door flew open. Trina, soaked, panting, streaked with mud, grabbed my wrist. Move. Now. Cut scene. We sprinted through the hallway, coughing, pushing through the fog of synthetic smoke. My throat burned. My eyes watered. But the cold air outside hit my face like resurrection. Who pulled the alarm? I rasped. I didn't, Trina said. We had help. Who? A car engine ignited across the street. Headlights flashed once, twice, a signal. Then the car vanished. Someone else knew. Cut. We didn't go home. We went straight to the only place Nolan couldn't tamper with without witnesses, the courthouse. And we went early, hours before the bankruptcy hearing. By then, the gold file was locked inside a federal investigator's secure Dropbox. Irreversible, traceable, out of Nolan's reach. But the real storm hadn't even started. Hallways buzzed. Cameras set up. Reed's mother, Marcia Ellison, arrived in pearls and a frown sharp enough to slice marble. Reed walked beside her, avoiding my eyes, hands shaking in his pockets. His posture had changed. Shoulders hunched. Breath shallow. Guilt. Stick to the plan, Trina whispered. My pulse hammered. A bailiff opened the doors. Court in session. Judge Ruth Klein presided, sharp, unsmiling, the type of woman whose presence snapped vertebrae into alignment. She adjusted her glasses. Petitioner, proceed. Petitioner, my in-laws. My name echoed. Nora Ellison to the stand. I walked slowly, calm face, shaking bones. Marcia's attorney began his assault instantly. Mrs. Ellison, isn't it true that you accrued substantial debt? Isn't it true that your husband attempted to intervene financially? Isn't it true you refused transparency? No, I said. None of that is true. He smiled like a man who believed the world bent for him. We have documentation that says otherwise. Documentation, I repeated softly, can be forged. The room rippled. Marcia stiffened. Reed shifted in his seat, unable to meet my eyes. And then the doors burst open with a slam that echoed like a gunshot. Every head turned. Callie, my daughter, still wearing her school cardigan, hair crooked from rushing. Someone had brought her here. Someone who knew she wasn't supposed to testify. Someone who wanted her silenced. A marshal hurried toward her. Young lady, you can't. Wait. Judge Klein raised her hand. Let her speak. Callie looked straight at Reed, then Marcia, then me. She walked toward the witness box. Step. Step, step. A tiny soldier marching to war. The judge lowered her voice. Sweetheart, do you know why you're here? Callie nodded. My dad told Grandma he'd fix everything if he made Mommy look broke. Silence detonated. Marcia gasped. Reed went pale. My throat closed. Kids don't lie like adults. Kids don't plot. Kids don't pick sides with strategy. They pick truth. Callie continued, voice steady, eyes bright. And Dad said he signed Mommy's name because no one checks signatures anyway. He said Grandma promised he wouldn't get in trouble if he helped her. Gasps, murmurs, pens dropping, feet shifting. Every lawyer in the room went rigid. Marcia's attorney whispered, Your Honor, this child. Judge Klein raised a hand again. Sharp, final. She is giving testimony relevant to a fraud allegation. Continue. Callie climbed onto the witness chair. Her legs dangled. Her fists clenched. Mommy didn't do anything wrong, she said. They just didn't want her to own anything. Sometimes the smallest voices expose the largest crimes. I remembered something my grandmother used to say. Truth doesn't shout. It survives. I never understood it until that moment. Cut scene. The judge leaned forward. Mr. Ellison, Mrs. Ellison, I strongly suggest you reconsider your petition before I advance this matter to criminal review. Marcia's face collapsed. Nora, we were just trying to. No, I said. You were trying to erase me. Reed finally spoke, voice cracking. I never meant. You never stopped them, I said. Judge Klein turned to the bailiff. Bring me the evidence file. My heart stopped. The gold file wasn't supposed to be reviewed yet, but the bailiff returned carrying a sealed envelope. My envelope. The investigator had fast-tracked it. The judge opened it. Reed went still. Then she lifted her gaze, and for the first time that day, fear flashed across the Ellison family's faces. She spoke slowly, clearly. Mrs. Ellison, based on the evidence submitted, this court is prepared to rule on fraud, conspiracy to commit bankruptcy manipulation, and unlawful signature forgery. Marcia whispered, Oh my God. The judge's voice hardened. Not God, the law. My lungs burned. My pulse roared. For the first time in months, I felt power return to my body. But then, something strange happened. A movement, a flicker, a shadow crossing the courtroom wall. Someone slipped into the back row, wearing a hood, hands in pockets, watching. Only me. My stomach dropped, because I recognized the stance, the stillness, the intention. It wasn't Nolan. It wasn't Reed. It was someone I thought had disappeared. Someone who shouldn't be alive. And when they raised their head, I felt the bottom of my world tilt. Everything I believed about who orchestrated this attack was wrong. I wasn't facing one enemy. I was standing in the middle of a war I didn't even know existed. And the true architect had just walked into the room. I stared across the courtroom. The hood came down. Not Nolan. Not Reed. Not even someone from the Ellison family tree. It was Elijah Novak, Reed's half-brother, disbarred hedge fund advisor, vanished 5 years ago after being indicted for securities fraud. Rumors said he faked a boating accident off the Jersey coast. But here he was, alive, smirking, watching me like he'd never left. The judge hadn't seen him yet, but I had. Everything snapped into place like a nightmare puzzle. Forged documents, backroom real estate deals, Nolan's sudden fear, Reed's stuttering denials. This wasn't just about family revenge. It was legacy laundering. Through me, through Callie. Elijah slipped back through the doors before I could speak. Gone. Like smoke. Cut scene. 2 hours later. Marcia and Reed were escorted out by marshals under preliminary fraud charges. Judge Klein suspended all bankruptcy proceedings, pending federal review. The Ellison empire began to crumble before lunchtime. Trina and I stood by the courthouse steps. Rain fell. Not cinematic, not gentle, just sharp and cold. Like the air could cut. "You think this is over?" she asked. "No," I said. "This is where it starts." The media storm hit by evening. Footage of Callie's testimony played on repeat. She became a symbol, a child against corruption. They called her the tiny whistleblower. But beneath that headline was a darker truth. Because Elijah wasn't just back. He'd already begun phase 2. Cut to 2 days later. My car alarm went off at 2 a.m. No signs of entry. Just a scratch on the hood. A message. "Remember who owns the game." I reported it. FBI flagged my file under surveillance threat. Not protection. Observation. Cut to 3 days later. The investigator in charge of our case, Agent Hillary Chin, disappeared. Office cleared. No trace. No answers. Trina texted, "You still have the gold file backup?" I did, but I didn't feel safer. Because this wasn't about exposing Elijah. It was about surviving him. I remembered something my father once told me. Truth isn't clean. It bleeds before it shines. I didn't understand it until now. Cut to 1 week later. I stood in the back of a city ballroom. Charity event for financial literacy. Glittering guests. Champagne towers. Elijah was there. Not hiding. Not afraid. Wearing his old watch. Wearing Reed's smile. Talking to a senator. He caught my eye. Raised his glass. Smirked. Then turned his back like I was already erased. Trina appeared beside me. "You ready for the next phase?" "No," I whispered, "but I'm not stepping back." We left. In the cab, I looked at Kelly's photo on my lock screen. A 7-year-old girl had done what no adult could, shatter the lie. Because innocence terrifies the corrupt. And love, real love, is a currency they can't counterfeit. Cut scene. 1 month later. Indictments fell like dominoes. Marcia pled guilty. Reed accepted a deal. Nolan disappeared. Last spotted boarding a flight to the Caymans. But Elijah? Untouched. Smiling on magazine covers. Whispers of a comeback fund. He knew the system. Knew how to manipulate it. And yet, one morning, I woke up to a knock. A flash of a badge. Another investigator. Not FBI. Internal affairs. Someone inside the machine was done watching from the sidelines. "We want to talk about Elijah Novak," she said, "and why 3 sealed indictments vanished the week your case hit court." I let her in. Sometimes justice doesn't arrive with sirens. Sometimes it walks through the door, quiet as morning. Cut to 6 months later. I reopened my consulting firm under a new name, Callie, and I moved to a coastal town. Quiet. No marble hallways. No shadows behind mirrors. Just wind, waves, bookshelves, and laughter. One night, Callie asked me, "Why did they do all that, Mom? Why lie?" I knelt beside her bed. "Because power makes some people believe they're untouchable." "But you touched them," she whispered. I smiled. "No, you did." Final shot. A courtroom photo. Callie mid-sentence, hand raised, face unflinching. I framed it. Underneath, I carved a single line. "When they tried to break us, you told the truth." And that changed everything.